Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakaha Kodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you, sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Raiah with another video, and I'm going to start it off in 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, which is exactly what the true men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, are doing by reading the scriptures and watching the news and filtering the news through the scriptures and then going out onto the highways and byways to preach this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this, not only telling the elect, or the 144,000 and the rest of the righteous 1/3 of the nation of Israel, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners who look like these heathen nations, of the terrible times to come of Jacob's trouble, and what they need to do to stay in the good graces of their power, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, to hope to be protected from all those calamities, but to also tell 2/3 of the nation of Israel who are hard-headed and refuse to return unto their power, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, and you heathen nations, of the judgment that's coming your way during Jacob's trouble for all the wickedness you've been committing. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, visit and judge you people on it, for again all the wickedness you've been committing. Verse 3, Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes in divers places, and earthquakes are happening damn near daily all across the planet, and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. And some of the signs to show that the end is manifesting is as it says back in verse 3, Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. And I just described the earthquakes, and in this video I'll be dealing with some of the uproars that are going on with the people in the world. This is a clip from WION's YouTube channel titled Gravitas, Unrest and Riots, Uproars of the People, Grip, South Africa. And as we'll see in this clip, things are getting pretty hectic over in South Africa, with South Africa's former president, Jacob Zuma, getting sentenced to a prison term. You've got a lot of people that supported him rioting, and you're seeing places getting looted, the authorities getting disregarded, people getting killed, the cops getting called in, and now the military getting mobilized to try to quell these protests. And all these things you're about to see in this clip are just an example of what's coming to the United States of America, which is biblically known as Babylon the Great. And it's especially going to be bad here with all these guns laying around. But it's very beautiful seeing things like this happen, because we know that it's a sign that the end is manifesting, the end of this current age of the rulership of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites, or the so-called white people, before the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven, where the children of Israel are going to rule for eternity. So like we always tell you, sincere Akim out there, right now you should be doing everything you can to stay in the good graces of your power, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, so you can hope to be of that elect number, be saved from these coming calamities of Jacob's trouble, because they're going to get much worse from here on out, and ultimately get beamed up onto those chariots for salvation and be of the first fruits in the kingdom of heaven. But let's get into this clip.
South Africa is witnessing riots. Residential buildings are being set ablaze, shopping malls are being looted, highways are blocked, and armed protesters are marching on the streets. The situation is volatile. The unrest, the worst in many years. At least 6 people have died, dozens have been injured, more than 200 have been put behind bars, and reports indicate that these figures are only set to worsen. So what is going on? I'll start with the beginning. The reason behind the unrest, what caused it? The conviction of Jacob Zuma, the former president of South Africa. On the 29th of June, Zuma was sentenced to 15 months in prison. What for? Because he defied an inquiry into corruption allegations during his tenure as president. So South Africa's constitutional court, which is the most powerful court in the country, declared Zuma guilty and sent him to jail on charges of contempt. With this conviction, Zuma became the first South African president to go to jail. The sentence was hailed as a victory for the rule of law in the country, but it ended up turning law and order upside down. Let me show you some images. These are Zuma supporters, armed with sticks and shields, protesting against the court order. They've taken to the streets of almost every major city in South Africa, looting, ransacking, and burning.
And these Hamites, or so-called Africans, protesting against that prison sentence and rioting because of it is also a part of biblical prophecy, sedition amongst men. This is 2 Esdras chapter 15, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men. And when you look up the definition for that word sedition, it means conduct or speech inciting rebellion against a ruling authority or monarch. Former South African President Jacob Zuma's supporters protesting the government's decision to send him to prison and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. And your modern day kings and princes are these political figures like your mayors, governors, senators, presidents, prime ministers, etc., as well as the authorities such as the military or the police that uphold the system. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
Burning everything on their way. On Saturday, they blocked one of South Africa's biggest highways by setting fire to several trucks and vehicles. The highway burned the entire night, leaving thousands stranded for several hours. The highway is located in the KwaZulu-Natal province, which happens to be Jacob Zuma's stronghold. Several cities in this province have now been gripped by unrest, like Durban, the third most populous city in South Africa. It's witnessing unprecedented violence. Zuma supporters are burning tires, they're looting stores and clashing with the police. At least 37 people have been arrested. Same story in Johannesburg, South Africa's economic hub. Protesters are looting shops and ransacking stores. There are also reports of shots being fired at passing vehicles. At least 62 people have been detained and put behind bars. Our correspondent, Calden Ongbu, has been reporting from Johannesburg. She sends us this report.
This is what has been left from violent protests that took place throughout the weekend and at night, even after President Ramaphosa sent out a strong message to those involved in this. Police continued to make arrests even at night as protesters continued looting businesses, vandalizing properties and burning tires and blocking roads. This morning, many commuters have been left stranded as most public transport have suspended their businesses, fearing being attacked. Throughout the night, police and protesters kept playing cat and mice as some protesters were feared carrying firearms that went off time and again. The protest that first started in KwaZulu-Natal province by former President Jacob Zuma's supporters slowly spread to Gauteng.
Now, as someone famously said, when the looting begins, the shooting begins. In view of this escalating violence, the police has been forced to fire shots to disperse protesters. Reports say this has led to the death of at least 6 people. But whether they died in police shootings is yet to be confirmed.
Coming to the streets of the good old US of A. And really all the world.
The authorities are not taking any chances. They've asked the South African military now to quell the violence. The army has been deployed in at least 2 provinces. This is in order to help police cope with looting and arson attacks on businesses, but even the army may find it tough to contain the violence, because we're not talking about 2 or 3 cities.
And when the military is deployed, what does that usually mean? A state of martial law. Back in 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. What does that sound like? A blockade, curfews, restrictions, a state of martial law where the military is involved and you've got to show identification to get in and leave the city. Rebellions getting quelled.
Cities. The unrest has spilled over to several places. Umlazi, Katlehong, Pietermaritzburg, Chesterville, Nakandia, and Escort, to name a few. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has issued a statement telling the protesters that it's okay to be hurt and angry, but nothing justifies the destructive actions that are endangering lives and damaging the country's economy.
These acts are endangering the lives of people and damaging our efforts to rebuild the economy. While there are those who may be hurt and angry at this moment, there can never be any justification whatsoever for anybody to embark on violent and disruptive actions that negatively affect the rights of others.
The president has appealed for calm, but Jacob Zuma's family says this is just the beginning. Edward Zuma, who is the former president's older son, says the situation will get worse if his father is not released. A statement he made a few days back is going viral, where Zuma Jr. has threatened authorities that they will have to kill him before they lay their hands on his father.
They can give Zuma 15 months, they can give Zuma 24 months, or they can give Zuma 100 months. He's not going to even serve 1 day or one minute of that. They would have to kill me before they put their hands on him. They are not going to lay their hands on Zuma over my dead body.
Talking that big shit. Again, back in 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 16, for there shall be sedition, conduct or speech inciting rebellion against a ruling authority or monarch among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, these politicians and the government, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
Extremely irresponsible statement, to say the least. It's a developing story that we'll be tracking. Riots is now aware.
In Abaratazah, these protests increase and get more violent, but ultimately, this whole planet's about to go into a stage of uproar, violence, and mass death and destruction, because again, we're living in the last seconds of these last days, the last seconds of the rulership of the heathen nations before the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven, where the children of Israel are going to rule for eternity. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.